he tried to take away my
Just a
countdowns.
jump scare waiting to
Yeah.
happen. I can't help it.
You're full of jump scares this
Listen,
morning.
you know what? It's a two-way street. You take away my intro sometimes, I get to take away your countdown sometimes. It's how we roll.
I mean, okay, I guess
We're
that's fair.
50-50. This is how we do.
And that just makes me think, this is how we roll.
I know. By the way, unrelated to anything at all, I have a colossal fucking mosquito bite on my leg, and I have never more considered like amputating probably the lower half of my leg.
Ouch.
I almost feel like it would be worth it. I can't anymore. This thing has lasted for quite some time too. Like it's like it's hanging on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a bite on my chest. And
I remember that thing.
My chest is still itching.
Oh my god. Flames!
And I don't think flames. I don't think getting a sunburn on top of it
That
helped.
probably
I'm
did
gonna be
not
honest
help.
with you.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
First of all,
Welcome back to Oddities.
yeah, welcome back, Odd Fam. I'm Cassie.
I'm Kelly.
And welcome back to Strangetown. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. All of our shit's in the shit. All of our shit's in the... It's all in the description. If you want to follow along on social media, we're a good time. Also, we have a merch shop. Please, for the love of God, shop our merch. We also have a Patreon. Please, for the love of God, donate to our Patreon. Because corporate America is crushing my fucking soul, and I so badly want this to take off so I don't have to deal with another fucking day in my job.
It's the truth. She doesn't even go here. That just has to go with something we dealt with this week. Anyways.
We did. So, please, if you're able and you love us, because we get emails, a lot of emails saying how much you love us, and we really appreciate those. But if you're able to donate as well, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
And we can do more. We can do more for you. So you could deal with all of this on multiple occasions every fucking week. If you donate to our Patreon, by the way, friends, you get a bonus episode every week. It's a video episode, and it's a dumpster fire every time in the best way possible, I would argue.
Yeah, and this last episode literally had a special appearance of a dumpster fire.
That was the favorite teaser I've ever made. Ever. Ever. Yes, so that's all. Bye now. Stay strange. See you next time. Just kidding. How are you today, my friend? It's very early for you.
It is. It's fine, though. It would have been better if my kids did not wake up at 3 screaming.
Ah, fucking Christ. Are the demons?
But, you know,
the demons.
No, just one was screaming at the other.
I mean, also arguably demonic.
There you go. But, you know, it is how it goes. So...
It is.
Whatever.
It do be what it do be, you know?
Yeah. It is so darn hot already. So.
Swamp ass.
It is how it goes.
It's swamp ass weather.
It's so hot. It's so hot. It's flames.
Flames!
You know, we had a listener email us this week and talk about flames!
Flames on the side of my face. And for the reference, it is a clue, like to the movie Clue. It's Mrs. White says it. I fucking love that movie, but yeah.
I might watch that today, honestly.
It's so good.
But they added a photo, and honestly, that photo's been living rent-free in my brain all week now.
Same. It's the Elmo meme where it's like satanic Elmo. It's just flames and Elmo. And they were like, this is what I picture every time you guys say flames. And I just...
And you know, Elmo's just now been living rent-free in my head with how hot it's been, so...
Elmo!
That was too good.
Thank you. I'm blessed in many ways, what can I say?
Yeah, it's been a good week, so...
Has it?
How's your week?
My week has been a steaming pile of shit, on top of the last several weeks that have been steaming piles of shit. So kids, if I'm being real with you, I'm not in a great mental state lately. things will turn around. It's just a matter of when. And I'm also one of those people that very much believes, like, hey, you can't just wait for things to turn around. You have to put in effort to try and make these things happen for yourself. And life's just not fucking working with me. And I'm getting increasingly irritated and increasingly impatient.
There you
So
go.
if I'm being honest with you all, I'm not doing great. But I will be.
Same, but me saying that the week was good was me trying to use reverse psychology on the universe.
How's that working for you?
You know, so there you go.
I will say this, because we didn't get to record last weekend. It was my friend's bachelorette party. Actually, we have two new listeners. Well, she's been listening, but also the matron of honor is listening now too. Hi, I won't say your name because I don't, people.
We don't name drop
we don't
here.
do that. So,
but we know who you are, so hello.
So hi and welcome. Thanks for listening, kids. But it was, I was a co-host for it with her, and I have to say it was like a 20,000 out of 10.
You guys nailed it.
Nailed it. Sexy Hagrid. It was Harry Potter themed. So many shots. I made 130 Jello shots. I think we consumed about 100 of them. I was very proud of the girls. Okay, disclaimer: it wasn't just the three of us at this thing. Like there was like 8 of us.
Yeah. You guys looked like you had a blast.
We did. We did a
for the record,
Tri-Wizard tournament. Yeah.
I had a blast making some of those items.
Thank you for your help.
The party.
Yes.
Yeah. The whole time I was making the items, I was a wee bit jealous. I was like, this party's gonna be lit.
It was lit. Yes. Kelly helped me with some of the favors, and it all I think came together very well. It was a really cool group. There were a lot of highlights of the weekend. I think above all, though, my favorite was when we went to brunch the final day. Everybody pretty much was hungover, I think, except for I don't get hungover, but people weren't in great shape, and we literally all went to brunch wearing the Harry Potter glasses that I included in the favor bags. So I think that just conveys like the level of like non-existent fucks that we had to give. That we wore those to breakfast. My favorite part was
I love that.
My favorite part was that the bride, hers broke. So hers were just consistently like sideways on her face. It was just so necessary. Like the whole thing.
It just worked so well.
So anyway, last weekend was a good time. And we're doing a double record this time, so I'm going to shut up because I never save things. So
there you go.
There it is. Thanks for asking.
There it is.
And it is 6 a.m. for Kelly, so she's just holding on by a thread at the moment. And
my mental state is holding on by a thread. That's nothing new.
We're on par with one another at the moment. So yeah. So here's about 8 minutes of bullshit at the front end instead of the 13 that we usually do. But so be it. This is what.
But we are doing a double record.
We are doing a double record. We got to save some of the shit. So when you add the two intros together, really, it's going to be our usual.
Double intolerable, so just deal with
double the intolerable, double the fun. Yes, we are going to do that merch. We just haven't gotten to it, so everybody shut up. And happy 200th episode.
This is our 200th episode, so happy 200th.
A little while back,
toot.
we said we were going to try and make this one a boozy one. That's my bad. My health has not been stellar lately, so I need to give my body a little bit of a break. But we do have a boozy doozy coming your way for episode 205 with a guest star.
Yep.
So
they shall remain anonymous until then.
Yeah. You all have
Surprise!
to just fucking edge of your seat it, the whole time. Anyway.
Yep.
What have ye for us today, or would you like me to go first? Mine's a shit show.
Mine is a missing case.
I love missing cases. Intrigue.
Yeah. Mine's a missing persons case.
Do you want to go first and then take a nap during mine? Or would you like me to go first?
When have I ever napped during
I'm just trying to help you out here.
Fine.
I'm just trying to help you out here because you had children screaming at 3 a.m.
What else is new?
You know what? I mean, low-key, I love this energy for us. I think this is probably the least we've ever cared about anything. By the way, that mechanical noise in the background was me elevating my desk because I was at a really weird angle. So
I love that you have a mechanical desk. Anyways.
Yes.
Sure, I will go first.
Okay.
Today I'm covering the disappearance of Lauren Spierer.
Where'd she go? We
Nobody
just don't
knows.
know. Okay. All right. Carry on.
But you just, where'd she go? And then my brain went,
I
I
miss you
miss you
so.
so.
Yep. Me too. My own brain did it.
Um, she's an American woman who went missing back in 2011.
Oh, so this is relatively recent. Well, I mean, that,
In my
it's
opinion,
12 years
yes.
ago, but yeah. Can you
Yeah.
believe that?
She was 20 years old and a college student at Indiana University. She was studying textiles merchandising,
Neat.
and she was a big part of the Jewish community and clubs at IU, and even spent her previous spring break planting trees in Israel.
Oh, l'chaim.
Um, she had a steady relationship with Jesse Wolf for what I believe was 2 years
Hold on.
prior to her going,
Jesse Wolf? That can't be a real fucking name.
but it
Oh,
is.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, I know what I'm going to be fixating on this entire story. Go ahead.
Um, I believe it was for 2 years prior to her going missing, but I'm not entirely sure that that information wasn't like fully clear.
Okay.
But like they ended up going to the university together.
Oh, good. I'm glad Jesse
Um,
Wolf went there.
they met. They met at a summer camp along with several of her other friends, and they all ended up going to IU together.
Oh, that's kind of like cute.
Yeah. Altogether, Lauren is a very average 20-year-old girl. She had a very normal life. She grew up in New York with her parents. She had a very great relationship with them.
Hmm.
Well liked by everyone, it
Hmm.
seems. Like, nothing out of the blue.
Yeah, right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Just like,
Just,
low key all around, aside from Jesse Wolf.
it seems like I didn't see anything abnormal
Yeah,
in
typical
her
college girl.
previous life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
typical. So, at the time that she went missing, she was a junior at
Oh, so
IU.
close to being done.
Yeah. So what happened? Because the reality is, it seemed that she disappeared into thin air.
Oh my, ooh, spookala bookala. Okay.
Yeah. Here's a little bit more of what happened the night she disappeared. Spire was drinking with several friends. Wolf stated that he did not go out with Spire or her friends that evening, texting back and forth with Spire before he went to bed. According to witnesses, Spire was very intoxicated.
Same.
The Bloomington Police Department used video surveillance footage and witnesses' statements to create a very detailed timeline of Spire's whereabouts before her disappearance. Here's that
Oh, good for
timeline.
them.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's a pretty impressive timeline in my opinion.
I will say that. Good for them. That's cool.
Yeah. Friday, June 3rd, 2011. 12:30 a.m. Witnesses report Spire left her apartment with a friend named David Ron.
Oh,
The
okay.
pair went to Jay Rosenbaum's apartment, and she met up with Cody Rossman's Rosenbaum's neighbor. 1:46 a.m. Spire is seen entering Kilroy Sports Bar. 2:27 a.m. Spire is seen exiting the bar with Rossman. Spire left her cell phone and her shoes at the bar.
Oops. Okay.
She had taken off her shoes when she walked out to the sand-covered patio. Rossman walked with Spire to her apartment complex. 2:30 a.m. Spire is seen entering Smallwood Plaza Apartments, where her residence is located. A passerby named Zach Oakes noticed her level of inebriation and asked if she was okay. 2:48 a.m. After she left the apartments, Spire entered an alley that runs between College Avenue and Morton Street. Security cameras mounted on a nearby apartment show her exit the alley at 2:51 a.m. and walk towards an empty lot. Spire's keys and purse were found along this route through the alley. Spire and Rossman arrived at Rossman's apartment shortly afterward. Michael Beth, Rossman's roommate, was at the apartment. Rossman himself was very intoxicated and stumbling. He vomited on the carpet on the way up the stairs.
Oh, jeez.
Beth stated that he escorted Rossman to bed, then he tried to persuade Spire to sleep over for her own safety. He claimed the Spire said she wanted to return to her own apartment. 3:30 a.m., Beth said he then phoned his neighbor, Rosenbaum, waiting for him to take care of Spire. Beth said that Spire was attempting to get Beth to drink with her at her own apartment. She eventually went to Rosenbaum's apartment where he observed a bruise under her eye,
Oh,
presumably
okay.
sustained in a fall earlier that evening.
Okay.
She told him that she didn't know how she got the bruise. Two calls were placed from Rosenbaum's phone shortly before she is reported to have left. Rosenbaum said Spire placed both calls, one to Ron and one to another friend. Neither picked up, and no messages were left. 4:30 a.m. Rosenbaum reports that Spire left the apartment, and this was the last reported sighting of her. He reported last seeing Spire at the intersection of 11th Street and College Avenue, headed south on College. She is last seen barefoot, wearing black leggings and a white shirt. Several hours later that morning, Wolf sent Spire a text. He received a reply from an employee at the bar. Wolf reported Spire missing. 3 days later, the community came together, searching for Lauren, but found no answers. Never found her.
I have problems with a lot of this, but go ahead.
Yeah, that point on, she's been missing.
This is what's strange to me. I mean, it's not really strange, but it's just kind of like seems a little funky to me. First of all, I'm pretty certain it sounds like maybe she was drugged at some point during the night. That's what it sounds like to me. She
Yeah,
was also with all dudes, which, like, I'm not hating on her or anything for that, but, like, I think it's really shitty that one of them didn't accompany her to wherever the fuck she was going.
yeah,
Like, I think, like, what the fuck is that? These are all friends, and knowing, like, the level she was intoxicated at, like, nobody?
and I believe it was Rosenbaum
Mm
was one of the friends that she had met at camp. So, like,
hmm.
long
Yeah.
term friend. Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, I don't, like, I get that, like, Rosenbaum was one of the ones that was also super intoxicated, right? He was the one that
Yeah.
vomited on the stairs. So, like, even still, though, like, at least I know that, like, the people in my life, like, a lot of the dudes and things like that, if they couldn't go, they would have insisted, no matter what level of intoxication they were at, like, they would have insisted, like, okay, my roommate will walk you home, or my, like, let me call this, like, so they would have ensured that, like, I got back okay.
Yeah.
So that seems really sketchy to me. I also have to say, it doesn't matter what level of drunk I would be, I wouldn't have gone barefoot in a bar, even if it was a sand covered patio.
You
But like,
couldn't
that's
pay me
just
to
me.
do that.
I'm not judging, but I wouldn't
Nope.
do that because I'm like a germaphobe. I also wouldn't have, continued to walk around barefoot
On
after
a
that
college
point
campus?
on a
No.
college campus, on city streets, and things like that. It's okay. Anyway, so that like it's certain things like her strange behavior and like stuff like that. Like I don't think she was just intoxicated. I'm pretty sure somebody maybe slipped her something at some point.
Yeah. It
Um,
sounds that way.
to me, I don't like the bruise under her eye and stuff like that. Like if she was this level of fucked up, I mean I do believe like she could have fallen and like I mean I think it's
And
possible.
yeah.
Like whatever. I mean that like happens. Um, I think you let's face it, the world that we live in is a vile one. I really like I think anybody could have she's like a young pretty college girl walking around alone late at night like I know we're in like Indiana or whatever but like shit still happens like
Yeah.
I think anybody could have taken her and in the state that she was in it would have been easy for them to do it. Do I know that it was necessarily one of the people that she was like connected with? It could have been a total stranger. I don't know. But
Yeah.
like
And there are a few theories. And
okay, hit
um
us.
so an investigation obviously did go underway. It's there was like a lot of hit or miss. So like 2 months later, after her disappearance, police conducted a 9-day search of the Sycamore Ridge landfill in Pimento, for clues of the disappearance. The landfill where the trash from Bloomington is hauled, basically
Ooh,
searching for answers.
right.
Nothing was found. As of May 24th, 2013, investigators had received over 3,000 tips on Spiere's disappearance, 100 of them received during the first half of 2013, none of them being credible or giving leads. In April of 2015, the Bloomington Police Department announced that they were giving investigation a possible link between Spiere's disappearance and the murder of another IU student, Hannah Wilson. Wilson went missing on April 24th, 2015, after visiting Kilroy's, the same bar
The
that
same
Spierer.
bar.
Yep. The same bar that Spierer visited the night that she disappeared. Wilson was last seen getting into a taxi in front of the bar and driving away. Her body was found the next morning in Brown County. A local man named Daniel Messel was arrested for the murder after his cell phone was discovered near the body. In July of 2015, it was concluded that the two cases were unrelated and the similarities between the two cases were coincidental.
Okay.
On January 28th, 2016, the FBI and other police agencies investigated a property in the 2900 block of Old Morgantown in Martinsville, approximately 20 miles north of Bloomington. According to a statement released by the FBI, investigators were following up on leads and tips in Morgan County regarding the disappearance of Lauren Spierer. The property was connected to a man, Justin Waggers, who resided there with his mother and stepfather. Waggers was a suspect of exposing himself to numerous local women. Investigators searched the property with cadaver dogs, which indicated potential evidence. Anthropologists conducted a dig and sifted dirt from the barn where the cadaver dogs hit, but found nothing. So it was another dead end. But it was interesting that
maybe they moved, like maybe something was there.
Maybe something was there. A few more other theories. A number of theories have emerged in reference to what happened to Spierer that evening. Spierer's parents have stated that they believe their daughter is dead. Based on her level of intoxication, they also feel that she may have been drugged at the bar. A statement said by them, "We feel that somebody may have slipped something into her drink at Kilroy's," said her father. The family has voiced suspicion about the men she was with that evening, as well as her boyfriend, since they refused to take police-issued polygraphs and retained lawyers as soon as they all retained lawyers as soon after she disappeared.
Oh, okay.
While the parents have not made any specific accusations, they do believe the two know more about her disappearance than what they've said. The men have responded that they have previously administered polygraphs, as well as some from the FBI, since they don't trust the Bloomington Police Department.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what that means.
Okay.
Another theory is that it could be a stranger abduction, like you said.
Yeah.
The police have also acknowledged that it could just be just a random abduction. Spierer's parents have previously stated that they don't believe that it was a random abduction. They think it was plotted and planned.
Oh, they think it was somebody that she knows?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So,
I think I could go either way on it. I could see it being,
Another interesting thing that I found while researching, Spierer's parents filed civil lawsuits against Rossman, Rosenbaum, and Beth for their involvement with their daughter leading up to her disappearance. The suits accused the defendants of negligence, alleging they supplied Spierer with alcohol after she was already visibly intoxicated. They neglect to assure that she returned safely to her apartment, which likely led to her death.
Yeah.
The family stated they hoped that the lawsuit would lead to the defendant submitting more information about what occurred the night of Spierer's disappearance. Truly, I don't think it was a random abduction. I think that somebody that Lauren knew was responsible for the events of that evening, Spierer's mother said. As a part of the suit, they subpoenaed private cell phone and academic records spanning 134 days prior and after the night Spire disappeared, a move the defendant's lawyers labeled a finishing expedition.
Okay.
In 2013, a federal judge, Tanya Walton, Pratt dismissed the suit against Beth after determining he had no duty of care to Spire.
Okay.
Which, I mean, he did not go out. He
Yeah.
was the roommate that was just like, I feel like was kind of just dragged into it. You know, he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
he was hanging out at home and then
And
all
then
of a sudden dealing with
the
two
shit
drunk
show
people.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
In 2014, Pratt dismissed the suit against the two other men, finding there could be any number of theories as to what happened to Lauren and what if any injuries she may have sustained. Without evidence to prove these theories, it would be impossible for a jury to determine if whatever happened to Spire was a natural and probable consequence of her intoxication. Without any other intervening acts that would break causal chains, Spire's parents appealed the ruling, but with the dismissal was upheld by federal appeals in court in 2015. Lawyers for the men have stated that their clients have cooperated fully with the police and private investigators hired by the Spire family, and all of them have passed private polygraphs. They have been interviewed, and they say they've been less than forthcoming, and it's just not accurate. Said Chapin, who represents Beth and Ron. To date, none of the defendants have been named suspects in Spire's disappearance.
What if, like, I know this is like a hot take. What if that bar is like a somebody there is involved in like trafficking? It's like two chicks now, maybe more at this point, and it's just not documented. Like,
I mean, weirder things have happened.
stranger things have happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just strange. I mean, I don't know much about IU, right? But like, the college town I was in, like, there wasn't just one bar where people went to. There was like 5.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It just seems strange.
Yeah,
me.
and I mean,
there are
trafficking
such
is a
things as
very,
weird coincidences, but yeah.
unfortunately, trafficking is a very common thing.
Yes.
It would not be a surprise to me if somebody working at a bar was involved in trafficking.
Yeah, and like maybe the one girl, like, yeah, she put up a fight or whatever, and the guy just like killed her. I don't know. It's just to
Yeah.
me it's just kind of that's a strange part of
Coincident.
it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, it's just weird that like these. I don't know. Like, what if they're paying off the police?
Yeah.
And
To
then
me,
that
it's
also
not a
falls in
strange
line with
coincidence there, but
yeah, and then like it also falls in line with what those other guys being like, oh, we don't trust the police. So it's like, okay, well maybe they know something. I don't know. Like the whole thing just seems
bizarre.
I could see it being a trafficking thing, but that's just me.
Yeah. Of course, if you have any information regarding Lauren's disappearance, please contact police tips at bloomington.in.gov, Bloomington Police Department at 812-339-4477, or Crime Stoppers of Central Indiana at 317-262-TIPS.
That's a heavy one. I think it's I think it unfortunately I think she's dead. I mean at this point probably.
Her parents do as well, but
yeah.
She has
that
a whole
doesn't mean they shouldn't have
website
answers.
as well, still devoted to finding answers. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with them trying to still find answers.
No, everybody should have closure, no matter what
Yeah.
the outcome is,
Yeah.
I think. So, wow, that sucks. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is sketch-a-letch on a lot of different levels, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sketch-a-letch, I like that.
Sketch-a-letch, you like that? Sketch-a-letch?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think maybe it was trafficking, maybe it was one of the. I was wondering too if like okay, she's hanging out with all these groups of dudes or whatever. Like maybe one of them had like feelings for her, and it was like a weird jealousy thing.
Yeah.
I mean, then and then or it could be a random abduction. It could be an abduction by one of them. I think it is weird that. Although their parents probably like you need to get a lawyer. Like I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say.
It's hard to say.
I don't know. Wow, I'm stumped. Good find. Snaps.
Thank you.
Yeah. Totally different arena for mine.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, this one's fucking weird. This isn't from any listeners. This is just, I stumbled across this. It's the phone stalker. Or, if we want to be lengthier about it, it's the Kuykendall family phone stalker mystery. Rolls right off the tongue.
Alrighty.
We're going back to 2007, so prime time. There's a 16-year-old girl. She's named Courtney Kuykendall. I hope I'm saying that right. It's Kuykendall. Kuykendall? Matters not. Courtney K. She randomly begins receiving texts from her friends from her home in Firecrest, Washington in 2007. And looking at the texts, she's met with messages from her friends asking her why they'd gotten several text messages from her simply saying gay. Is that not the most 2007 thing?
Yeah, that is very 2007. You are not
My
wrong.
favorite part, my favorite part around all this as I was researching it, because it's 2007, we're in the age of like flip phones and like whatever else, and like all I can think about is those ridiculous like text chain messages that were so bad.
Ugh,
Do you like send this
yeah.
to 30 friends or this woman's gonna come from under your bed? So stupid. I remember vividly there was one and it was like this girl and she was gonna like come and possess you. But possessed was spelled wrong and I like showed it to my mom. I was like, look how scary this is. She's like, they spelled possessed posed. This is fucking dumb.
I
Oh my
remember
god.
getting those messages, and I had a prepaid cell phone, and I remember thinking, I don't have enough minutes to send these.
You're
Guess I'm
wasting.
gonna get possessed.
Here it comes. Here comes the sweet release of possession. All right. So, anyway, all of her friends are receiving texts from her saying "gay." Now, one could be mistaken for thinking that it was like, you know, this dumb, immature prank on Courtney's part, right? But there's one issue. She did not apparently send those texts, at least not herself. So she's confused at what they're talking about. She brushes it off. She thinks nothing of it. And neither she or anyone else involved could really have imagined like how far and bizarre these occurrences were about to become. So, not long after Courtney, as well as her friends and family, all start receiving like threatening text messages now and phone calls from an unknown person who they all later referred to simply as restricted,
Uh huh.
because that's what shows up on caller ID sometimes, blah, blah, blah. As soon as restricted started calling, they would regularly threaten to kill or rape the human targets, attack the schools they attended, and even threaten to kill their pets. Okay.
That escalated quickly.
Restricted has issues.
Clearly.
Anyway, the messages got to the point of coming through like around the clock. They would take place both on family landlines, um, and their cell phones. This was back in the day when people still had landlines for our younger listeners. Anyway, I'm old. In an attempt to stop Restricted's harassment, everybody affected went as far as to like switching their phones. They changed their numbers. They started turning their phones off. They got new accounts, but nothing seemed to slow down like Restricted, right? Restricted just found a way around all this. So at one
Yeah.
point, after Courtney and her family called the police, and after finally having enough of like this bullshit and this harassment, and while in the middle of explaining their situation to an officer, all their phones turned on and called each other
Uh,
on their own. Spookalabook, right? So things start looking bad for Courtney after the police trace the threatening messages back to her phone, which seemed to be able to send messages and make calls even when she had it powered off. Though, I guess it wasn't hard in 2007 to like mask your number as somebody else. I don't know. I don't know enough about this shit. Anyway, at another point, the Koiken dolls had just returned home after meeting with law enforcement concerning these phone calls, and then they noticed they have a voicemail which consists of a recording of the exact conversation from earlier that day. And then thinking Courtney had something to do with all the harassment and the shit, her parents take her phone away, but they also failed to get the harassment to end. Restricted continues, right? So the family realized that Restricted, in addition to listening to everything that they were saying, also seemed to be able to see them even when they were inside their home. And after they got a new security system keypad for their home, Restricted calls them moments later to tell the family that they know the new passcode. And then, among other things, Restricted made comments about the family, like it was their clothing, things like that. One of the most famous quotes to come from Restricted during this time was in response to one of their victims, Andrea McKay, who was cutting limes on the counter one time, and Restricted responded by saying, or by messaging her merely to say how they preferred lemons. Isn't that
mm.
spooky? So one night, some unknown person bangs on the side of the Koiken doll's house, and then they run off into the night. What the point of that was, I don't fucking know. But anyway, at this point, they taped like the camera lenses. They removed batteries from their phones. Like Elvis was failing to stop Restricted, and whoever this person was, whatever their motives were, they seemed to be in the exact opposite position of, being called Restricted. They could do pretty much anything they fucking wanted. So anyway, the ongoing harassment and like distinct lack of answers, it proved to be kind of like nightmarish, right? Because I mean, it's a crime in which the victims are continually terrorized by this unknown person who had no intentions or restrictions in slowing down or even stopping, and it left the cops totally baffled. So, like, basically, nobody's winning here. For reasons that are still unclear to this day, the mystery appears to trail off from that point. There's been no new follow ups, no arrests, persons of interest, anything since the attention on the case reached its peak. Some sources hint that the FBI did get involved and the calls stopped then, but that's it. But keep in mind, right around 2007, the first iPhone's coming out. Like, whether or not that had any bearing on the lack of follow-ups on the case is anyone's guess. Maybe it was like, okay, now they're changing phones, they're changing, whatever. Anyway, the way it stands, if the situation was ever officially solved, it's never been publicly stated by anyone involved, including law enforcement or any of the victims. And it was never made certain if there was ever actually just one stalker involved, let alone what the motive was. The only substantial evidence to come from the incident was recordings of the voicemails left by Restricted, which have been described as, quote, throaty juvenile rasps stolen from bad horror movies.
Okay.
Listen, if you can't beat them, you might as well just fucking roast them. Anyway, as for the victims, to clarify on the three families involved, there was the Koiken dolls, the McKays, and the Prices. Courtney and her family, and her older sister and family, who was married and living with her husband in a different house, and a friend of Courtney's who had lived across the street from her, basically. And some reports say another friend of Courtney claimed that her phone's ringtone changed without her doing anything to like a gruff voice. However, it's been included in like minimal reports compared to all the other details of the case. So what the hell happened? We have a handful of theories here. I'd like to hear yours if you have any first.
Okay, first off, this gives me Scream vibes.
Oh.
Like a
yes.
Scream wannabe.
Yes.
Because this came out after Scream, obviously.
Yes.
Because Scream came.
I think
the
first Scream came in like 97 or something like that. Yeah.
But this definitely, like, I want to be like them. You know, like, and I was going to make that joke as you like started talking about it, but then you started talking about it, I was like, wait a minute, this actually does sound like
this actually is Scream.
So I don't know so you said
I mean nothing really came of it aside from this like weird like physically nothing ever happened aside from somebody physically nothing banging on the house.
It makes me wonder if so it's three families involved.
Yes.
It makes me wonder if the three families involved, how close-knit all the kids in the family are, and if they equally bullied somebody. And I don't mean to victim blame them.
But also...
But, you know, when you push somebody enough, they will do some crazy-ass shit.
Listen, people are fucking wild. Like, I've said, I think, time and time again, the only thing to be afraid of are people. Like, people are nuts.
Yeah.
And, you know.
I don't know. Like, around 2007, technology was getting a little more...
We're in, like, the prime... Like, we're starting some cyberbullying. We're starting some...
Cyberbullying was getting a little bit more advanced.
Bigger.
That's where my brain is going. That I wonder if somebody was being collectively, if those three families, if them involved were collectively bullying somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
and
the
if
only
that
one
somebody was like, I'm gonna F with all of you. But how would all three of the phones turn on at the same time and call each other?
I don't know. The thing that's a little funky is one of those families, it's basically her older sister that got married off. But maybe they were like, oh, it's her sister, so I'm going to go ahead and fuck with her too. You know? I don't know. Here come the theories.
Okay.
The prevailing theories. One is this is a hoax. One theory on the matter is that it was a hoax committed by Courtney. It was her phone. She could have done it to get on like TV or whatever. In response to this, Courtney has defended herself, saying, "Why would I do that to people I care about? Why would I harass my own family?" That seems like a weak argument to me, I gotta be honest, but okay.
Yeah.
And just as likely as it could be that Courtney could have been responsible, I can also see her at the same time not having anything to do with it. I don't know, it's weird. Her mother has also adamantly like defended her too. Another thing is that it's a virus or a hack. Another theory, it argues that Restricted could have gained access to the phones through hacking or a virus. They could have possibly accomplished this through inside help, or by somebody smuggling the phones out to give to Restricted to mess with them, or even by one of the victims like unknowingly abetting Restricted, like maybe Courtney unwittingly reinfected her new phone by visiting her MySpace page, for example, throwing it back to
Oh,
MySpace.
gosh,
In terms
MySpace was the days.
God, I'm gonna fucking go wax my cane after this because I'm fucking ancient. Anyway, in terms of how the whole crime could have been technologically possible to pull off in 2007, a lot of theories vary. Like, how likely was it to turn on and send messages and make calls without being in the room? Some, like, I guess, military grade technology could have made it inside the realm of possible in accomplishing this feat, but it would have been, like, extremely hard even to get physical access to it, obviously. Interestingly, Courtney and her family did live near McCord Air Force Base, and her brother-in-law worked there. And he even received a text from Restricted at one point, which reportedly said, "McCord needs us." That said, it could have also just been as likely as, like, Restricted merely messing around, rather than serving as a real clue to their identity.
Yeah.
Another less tech-savvy way that Restricted could have used, like, to creep on their victims was obviously by physically looking through windows or texting with someone who was in the next room from a victim. A suggestion made by a law enforcement official in the case was that a tech-savvy teenage boy could have been responsible. That's a weird, like, weak thing to throw
Yeah.
out by the police, too. Like, okay, guys, we're grasping for straws here. But while that could be true, the same could be said if, like, Restricted stalked the family through more, traditional methods, I guess, if you want to say it that. Another thing about this that doesn't make sense is that if all these victims were terrorized by their phones in those 4 months, why still keep using the phones? Like, I get it if they needed them for work or, like, some other reason, but undoubtedly if they were affected by the stalker as they claimed, they would have fallen back on other means of communication, or at
Yeah.
least for a period of time, to see if Restricted would just, like, stop. But ultimately, with everything said and done, like, there are a lot of questions that arose over whether or not the crime even happened at all. Like, long after the attention behind the case dies down, most of the reports on it are all based on just one victim. And regarding the detail about the family's phones turning on in the presence of a police officer, there are no such public statements that appear to be made on the claim. And not
Oh.
only that, but for however often we accidentally pocket dial another person or unintentionally open the camera app on our phones, like, how much of like when that happens results in our phones ever getting like clean audio? Like, I mean, I've been
Yeah.
pocket dialed 1,001 times. It sounds like fucking nothing. And then, like, alternatively, how could the stalker even get a good view of anything at that time, for the matter? Like, it was 2007. The cameras sucked. Like, the phones sucked.
Yeah.
It just all sucked. So, like, as far as details go on the case, there was never a confession made. No suspects or persons of interest. The last update was that the calls stopped as soon as the FBI got involved, but I didn't even really see anything like official about the FBI. I don't know. So for a case with such an enticing like news piece as it's presented to the media, the fact that there was never much of a follow-up or any kind of like official conclusion to it makes it confusing to even say if it even happened at all. I'm sitting in the realm of this is a hoax. And I
Yeah.
don't know that it's one that necessarily Courtney did, but like she could have crafted the story. Or I don't know. Like, to me, I've covered several hoaxes on this show over the last like few years that I've been working on it, and like this is like sketchy and like vague at best. And it's 2007.
Yeah.
I feel like there was like, with the advent of things like Scream, there was also like that one, and I don't know when the one movie came out, but do you remember like Colin Farrell was in it, and like it's the telephone booth, and there's like this stalker watching him from the telephone booth. Like, I feel like there was just like all of these weird things around like, ooh, techno, like, and, you know,
Or
Swim
Scream.
Fan, that was another thing. Like, yes, like Scream. Like, so I just feel like it has all the makings to be bullshit. in my mind.
Yeah. It sounds a little bit too much like a movie plot.
Yeah, right? I mean, I would
Yeah.
watch this movie.
I would too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. To me, I think it's bogus. I'd be curious to hear what the listeners think. But to me, I think it's like made up. You know, it's like that dream, like the one
The dream
person,
guy.
the dream guy. And it was like an elaborate like marketing thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
well,
How many people can we hoax? Because honestly, as you're talking about it, it's like, I feel like I've seen this movie before.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And actually, if some marketers were smart, they would use this exact thing to market a movie like this.
Yeah.
Like it just, you know. So that's my take. I think it's bogus. I like your bullying theory too. I mean, that could be the case as well. But like, given the time frame and things like that, and just like the overall vagueness around all of this, I'm leaning towards hoax.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my hot take. That's the phone stalker.
It's a very interesting topic. Wonderful job.
Thank you. It was honestly, if nothing else, it made me feel very old, and so
It
you
takes me.
know,
Gosh, I miss MySpace. So, anyway,
yeah, MySpace. Those were the days.
I
Anyway,
miss being
kids,
able
let
to put
us.
music on my profile. Damn it.
I know, right? And doing like very minor coding to change like the background and shit.
Yeah.
Damn, we were cool then. Anyway, everybody, let us know what you think about, everything that we've covered.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know, where you guys sit on the, with the disappearance and also this whole phone stalker thing. And of course, until next time,
Stay strange.
woo!